you can make it like this.
Yeah, I just want to lighten it up. Okay, but then, sorry. Good evening.
No. No music anymore.
I don't mind. Good evening. Nice to see you all again, and to see that you are surviving or survived at least 1 month. And how is your experience so far?
Kostya, how's your experience? Just came from a meeting.
It's hard not to sleep for months, actually.
Wow. So they're making you work hard? Yes. Oh, but maybe it's worth it, no? Do you feel it's worth it?
Probably yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We will see exactly, I think, a month after,
Yeah.
but at this point, I think yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And have you have you added a lot of value to your original idea?
Enormous amount.
Okay.
maybe in terms of new meetings,
Yeah.
like Microsoft Office
No,
365.
with Microsoft we see each other too much,
Okay, but that's
You
really
know. and it's good for us to meet another people.
Okay, other than Microsoft.
That's
Interesting.
Microsoft.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it kind of introduces too biased
Yeah.
view
Yeah.
when you meet the same.
Yeah. But it's maybe good because you will then really understand the position, and then you can self-position yourself vis-a-vis that, for the future. Because some people have basic ideas about what Microsoft is, but not full ideas. So now you have one, and then you can make decision for yourselves about things. Yeah. So, okay. Well, I heard that yesterday I was asked to come to speak to you in my particular capacity. Is it okay if we speak English? Well, it's my French is also optional.
No.
Unfortunately, no.
So my name is Jordanka Tomkova, and I represent actually not a donor. So I am not a donor, but I am an implementing partner for a donor program, and I have worked a lot in the past with donors. So I really know our foundation, which is the Innova Bridge Foundation, it's a Swiss foundation from Switzerland. We work exclusively with donors. That's our primary client, if you will, for our company. We do projects other than IT. Actually, IT is not our core business, but it's governance, it's energy efficiency, it's agri SME development. So we have a range of topics so I can speak to you not as a donor, but from kind of
How donors work.
How donors work, how they think. And I think in IT specifically, they really do represent a particular mentality, which I think it's important to understand. And I'm sorry if I will repeat some things that Timothy maybe told you yesterday, because so if I'm repeating, just say like a red flag, duplication.
It's okay, it's more for
Повторение
keeping
мать
in
учить.
mind.
Yeah, okay. And also, maybe before I start, let's say, talking about it, do you have any particular questions that I can already start integrating into? Do you have some burning questions? Maybe that didn't get answered yesterday, or that you would like to know more about?
Maybe if founders have money for some project in Ukraine, but these Ukraine projects don't have experience working with donors. Yes.
Okay, very good. Check. Okay. Anybody else?
Some hot questions.
Yes. Burning things that cannot let you sleep at night. No, just kidding.
I have questions, but it's not very exact. Just
Okay.
go.
Oh, okay, in the presentation, anybody else has?
Oh, maybe.
Yes?
No, about the persuasive power of donors which represent in other countries in discussions with government of Ukraine.
Local government, yeah.
No,
Sorry, come again.
Ukrainian.
Purchasing power. Sorry, what power?
persuasive.
Persuasive. Very interesting question. Yeah. Good one.
What does mean?
Okay.
Убеждение.
So I will start a little bit, maybe like a macro. You know, you're in a private company. A donor is not a private company. Donors works with actually taxpayers' money. So the Swiss program that we are implementing, it's a Swiss funded by Swiss taxpayers, just like you and I, just like me. So it's a very different mindset than, let's say, an angel investor. You know, they have different, as a result of the mindset of the donor, which works with public money, it thinks and has a different philosophy about how it uses money and what it expects from the money, you know, that it spends. So this is one thing that, but still, we are an investor in some sense, a public good investor. I would call it investor into public good. And this is very important for you if you're going to pitch your ideas, let's say to a donor, to think how to pitch, because I think you've been learning also how to pitch your idea to different types of investors, how to spin the story. And I think it's a very important, just like for private, also for donors. You know, Timothy, I'm sure told you about yesterday that there's a big program coming up. So there's a lot of activity in Kiev now. And people, essentially what they are doing is finding first good teams. And secondly, they're looking what is the pitch. You know, what are they going to offer on the table for the donor? Just like you would for an investor. But going again back, what do you offer? And how is it maybe different for a public investor like a donor than a private one? Let's say an angel investor or a company or... so another thing that's very important, so I will touch a little bit about that. Another thing for you to understand is that for donors, working with information technologies is also a new concept. Typically donors spend money on things like governance, promoting good governance standards, anti-corruption, training civil servants, you know, to be better, making public service delivery more effective, you know, so public services. Some of your applications are potentially actually public services. So then you can think about, so this is a very big general, on the other hand, they are also working on agribusiness. So let's say Switzerland has an agribusiness portfolio. We work a lot with organic farming in Ukraine, because in Switzerland it's a very big industry. So there's an organic farming portfolio, and generally also promoting a lot of let's say agribusiness exchanges between Switzerland and Ukraine. Third, we work on energy efficiency. A lot of applications where, I mean, I was very surprised about hackathons, or impressed how many are energy efficiency related or energy apps. So there is a potential. The reason why I'm saying that donors have, let's say, typical range of subjects that they're interested in, which is good for you, because after you will see 5 donors, you will see some common pattern, like, you know, common trademarks, you know. So yeah, I mean, I know USA portfolio a little bit, the Swiss one. There's also Swedish, and also very interesting maybe for you is Norwegian. Norwegians are also investing a lot in IT, in different way, not exactly through donor, but in cybersecurity. So what is actually very important for you to know is A, that it's new for donors, but also the types of portfolios that they have. So you can actually customize or do a little bit of research what the donor is interested in. They have websites, all of the donors have websites. And on those websites, some are better than others, so you can be judged for yourself, which are good. There should be key thematic areas that each donor is interested in. As I said, energy efficiency, agribusiness, also conflict. You know, that's a big thing for donors now. So it's peace and conflict management is a big theme. And governance and public service delivery is really, really huge. So this is important to know. And then you could start to see, so this is like the macro picture. Key thematic area, donor, then key thematic areas, and then you. So it's like, okay, what do I do now? Let's say you have a energy efficiency. The question is money, right?
Energy.
No.
Sorry, you have which one?
Public services for advertising. Out of home.
I
open
really
data.
like that. Because I think it's very concrete, it's very specific,
Yes.
and it's addressing a very particular problem. It's transparency of advertising.
Absolutely.
So for donor, quite interesting. And now, so going back to, let's say, energy efficiency, agribusiness, governance. In those governance portfolios, they will have programs. And each of those programs has a price tag attached to it. So give you example of our program. It falls under the in the Swiss Development Corporation, under the governance envelope. And our program is the EGAP program, the e-governance for accountability and participation. And it has 4 million for 4 years in 4 oblasts. So this is another thing, it's interesting to know how each of the program is structured, because if you are from Kiev, but for example, our program is not working in Kiev, you will be maybe wasting your time. So actually, do your homework, do your research, because many times I also see people come to us or to me and will say, I would like to work, you know, with your program. And I hear you're in IT, you know, we have this and this, but it's not targeted, you know. So basically do your homework on the structure of the programs. And in our programs, to give you an example, we have on e-services, we have on training, we have on electronic democracy, and we have a national policy dialogue. The fourth component, it's not so interesting for IT, but e-democracy and electronic services is potentially interesting. Now, another interesting, important thing is how we spend this money. Because even though you could see, okay, energy efficiency or governance, electronics, e-public services is there, or e-democracy, anti-corruption or something is there, it still doesn't mean that just because you have an app on anti-corruption that the donor will immediately give you money for it. Because this is the not so exciting thing, is this specific administrative mindsets. This is not very encouraging, because donors have, let's say, a particular modality of spending money. Either you come into a consortium, like with new programs, like let's say Timothy yesterday have an open day, they have a big, the TAPAS program coming up. It's like 13 million, it's a lot of money, and then they have 3: procurement, services, and open data. They have 3 target areas. You can then look at the specifications and then put yourself into the team and with applications. This is one way of doing it. This is like classic. When you hear about tenders, then, and there's a lot of action now actually in e-governance. There's a lot of money, and also a lot of money is coming for decentralization. The Swedish government is going to be having a big program. EU is going to have a very big program. It's spending 90 million in Ukraine. Not on IT, unfortunately, it's on public service centers, so more on the physical structures. But it doesn't mean that you cannot be also what I call the cold calls or proactive. You could also very well come to a donor, like let's say to us, and say, look, I looked at your portfolio on the website. I see you have governance, and I have an excellent, product for you maybe to help you. And then you have to give me a story, so then it's your pitch. Then you have to sell it to me just like to any other investor. Except another thing, that what you are maybe selling is what we are very interested, I guess the private investor is also interested in the impact, the commercial impact. They're looking how much profit it generates, probably, or how much it sells, or particular output of your application. But donors are particularly looking at things like public value. So typically donor programs like citizen or people-oriented applications, where the multiplier effect is as wide as possible, essentially reaching as many citizens as possible, especially let's say in governance. On the other hand, on the complete opposite of the spectrum, is very targeted applications. For example, I'll give you our example. We have one very specific theme on disadvantaged community, let's say people with disadvantages. You can interpret that quite widely. They could be people who are disabled. They could be people who are internally displaced, so IDPs because of the conflict. It could be women. It could be single mothers. People basically who have some kind of social disadvantage that sets them apart from the rest of the population. For example, we are now looking quite proactively for apps. We will hold hackathons.
I can show you one very good
Okay. Oh, wonderful. So, but we would also like to, at the same time...
Actually, two.
Excellent. At the same time, we could either have an app that is already created, but the donors are also very interested also to build capacity in Ukraine. Startups, young companies who will say we would like to be a new entrant on the market for this. And the donor really likes actually to contribute to institution building or to build up, let's say, new companies or organizations, NGOs. And I can tell you that for donors, this is quite an important one. NGOs are looked at better if you were to form a company. Let's say you want to patent your app, or you want to copyright it or what have you. And you want to set up a company. If you came as a private company, donors would look at it very differently than if you came as a non-governmental organization. Again, because of the public value aspect. Because we work with public taxpayers' money, the first loyalty or the first, let's say, philosophical connection is also to public, let's say, organizations and public value. So the more you can demonstrate the publicness as opposed to profit, it's actually better in the eyes of the donor. It does not always like private companies. It doesn't exclude them, but it likes to invest more in public companies. Unfortunately, this is the philosophy of the actor. This is why I said at the very beginning, it's actually a different kind of an actor, or investor, if you will. So this is actually very important to understand. But it does not exclude, for example, USAID or the Western, what is the Western Investment Fund? The Western
Entrepreneurship, NIS.
Yes, NIS, yes. So actually who supported the incubator.
Thanks knows them better.
It's a very specific instrument from the American government that likes to promote innovation. So again, it doesn't, and there I would say that it favors private companies. But most donors don't. So this is a little bit of a warning signal to you, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that they're completely excluded. And the other thing is sustainability, and this is a challenge in IT. For example, hackathons. We will hold quite a few hackathons. This is for your information. And we are still thinking about how to work with incubation, because we are realizing that even if you hold a hackathon, it's excellent for the IT or for innovation of new code and for the IT sector as such, but we want to also see the concrete benefit, concrete impact, and public impact. So after hackathon, you could say, what is the public value of a hackathon?
Well, like
What
sometimes
would be your
projects
answer?
may come. Like, first of all, I guess it's for the people who come, they can meet. It's first of all, like, networking is the first value, I would say. Then it's specific for
But
Savit
networking towards what?
towards finding a team to implement a project. Because for a founder who is not likely to pay salaries from day one, it's pretty difficult to find co-founders who are like same interested in his project. So hackathon is a very good place where you can meet other people who can join your team as co-founders.
Yes.
Because like I would say that half of the people would come to hackathon just to find co-founders.
Yes.
And I guess the other, like, very specific, and it's only like my perception, that most people in Pasavit, they don't have enough business skills.
Yeah.
And hackathon is where technical guys have to face the necessity of business skills, like HR, find the people who are interested in your project, learn how to present, learn some basic marketing. I really deliver in like any value, like public, commercial, just any, just any value. So it's like a small micro mini MBA.
Yeah.
Because I was like organizing several startup weekends in Ukraine, and this is what I saw.
Yeah.
It's like a micro MBA in 2 days for technical guys.
And actually, you could also sell it because this is still, you're talking to a fairly small audience. I'm still thinking, what is the public value of a hackathon? Not IT for the IT industry, but for public. What would be the value added? Why should you hold a hackathon? Why? I'm sorry, I know the reason. I'm asking, what is really the true value of a hackathon?
I mean, if you don't mind, I think what our projects
Yes.
in hackathon can show really successful projects for governmental organization.
Excellent. It's a problem solver.
Because it's very different looking when we speaking about our experience and governmental experience. We have another
Just another perspective. It comes like
yes.
from the people, not like from the government.
No, it's one of reason our working in hackathon.
Yeah. Anybody else? Can you sell me the public value of a hackathon? Let's say I'm convinced. I'm just being the devil's advocate. Let's say I am a new donor. I hear, there's some really interesting IT things happening in Ukraine. I bet you there are a lot of donors at this point now. But I'm a little bit risk averse. I don't like to take risk. I never had a program on IT. I hear hackathons are kind of an instrument. Why should I spend? Why?
A lot of possibilities to cooperative between non-government organization and startups, and then we can have a lot of value because, for example, I present a non-government organization which work in the sphere of learning for pensioners.
Excellent.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding,
You know?
ding, ding. Okay. Yes. We started in 2013, and now we have 2,000 pensioners who know computer.
Yeah.
And then these pensioners start project аналогичные
Similar.
similar startups
Yes.
for young. But I have a program which named Startups 15 plus.
Mm-hmm.
50
50 plus.
Yeah, 50 plus.
Okay.
And now we can господи, общаться, networking with,
Very cool.
communicate with partners, young startups, and how these startups and sphere can useful for pensioners. No, for example,
Excellent
because
example.
our члены, господи, members of project will can нет, могут can use these skills in this project. For example, public police.
Yes.
Monitoring crime situation and call to police and civil center of security and other in my street.
Absolutely.
No, okay. So it's a new market which our non-government developed.
Yeah. Fantastic. You sold me.
Okay.
Actually, and
Same,
yeah, actually, I would like to talk to you about your 50 plus thing. Very
Okay.
interesting how you do it. Really, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
not kidding you.
I have
Okay, so we can.
примеров, господи, examples.
Yes. So, the reason why I ask
Okay.
you, the reason why I ask you because at the hackathon, many, or I would say majority, were not actually, they were probably 50-50. I saw the commercially oriented were much stronger. Commercially oriented hacks were much stronger. The ones for public, except some, were less. And this is an interesting phenomenon to ask why that's the case. And for donors, it's more this other part that's interesting than the commercially viable ones. Maybe, for example, for agribusiness, I am not a specialist on the agricultural portfolio in the Swiss portfolio. So maybe my colleague would have a different answer if they would see, the solution created by the hackathon. So I cannot speak on their behalf, but it's not, for example, screaming at me that they will be going to IT to look for new solutions. It's not conventional for donors to do. But for the most part, it's solutions like you said, anti-corruption, advertise, very particular, very. What I really liked, that it was very specific, looking at a very specific problem at a local level, very well researched. But so then it comes the general. This is I think relevant for all applications. They just have to have gravitas, in the whole package. They have to have a target audience. They have to be well researched back, and has huge public value. I mean, maybe I don't know about how huge. I didn't see it quantified. So this will be interesting also when you're making pitches for donors. Try to quantify, but also qualify your sales pitch. One thing is quantification of impact, and second is qualification, the human element. Because maybe in commercial projects it's not so relevant, but for donors, the human aspect, training,
Yes, of course.
check. Personal development, changing behavioral change is, for example, a huge impact. For donor, this is really important. So maybe it looks at different things as valuable, than maybe a commercial investor would. You know, where they put maybe some behavioral change. Maybe they're also looking, you know, somebody buying, switching, you know, from buying one product to another. But that's a behavioral change. But for donor, it's more the transformative element. It's interesting. I also want to show you some examples, like concrete. Like, any questions, actually, at this point? No. No.
Can I say that in my startup, the IT is just an instrument, because our startup, our project is about public service.
Yes.
It's about public value. And,
could you please remind me again?
About energy efficiency,
the
renovation in high-rise buildings of residential sector. So, you know, and maybe our project have some dimensions of commercialization, but it's not the primary idea of it. Okay.
Yeah. No, excellent. Again, for example, for my energy efficiency colleague, probably you would be an interesting one.
And I'm interested in, you know, in our project to implement it, to multiply this idea, to have an effect of multiplication. We need to cooperate with власти.
Where?
Municipalities and different government organizations, ministers, because we need partnership in infrastructural sphere. You know, it's about energy plan of city. It's about cooperation with commercial structures which generates and поставляет энергию.
Supply energy
suppliers. I mean, for example, today it's in Kiev. It's one supplier and generator, and in next years it will be different companies generates which generate energy, and other companies which supply energy, and we need to cooperate with them in the infrastructural dimension.
Okay, another. Thank you for telling me that, because it just made me think about another thing. Have you been taught to, for example, if you were to come, let's say, all of you are potential candidates for, let's say, our program for money, and you came.
It's great news.
What would you give me as a package tomorrow if I ask you, let's say, in 1 week's time, I like your idea. I'm potentially interested. What would you provide me?
As a presentation or as a pitch?
No,
as a documentation of an idea, because you know, a donor, I can have this discussion with you. At the end of the day, we still need definitely something on paper. So we need a proposal. A priori, a donor will ask you that. This is no questions asked. That you can show them website, you can show them on a mobile. It's here. This is a beta version of my. We would like documentation on paper, and maybe they may give you already a form, which is usually headache, or they can ask you to self-create. If you were to self-create, what would you put together?
Probably technical documentation, some kind of roadmap,
Experience.
what and how should it do, and what impact of each step is provided.
How it works now, and how we our vision, how it's working then.
In the future? Okay.
In the future, yes, of course. And how we can, how money with donors it cost, and other channels monetization, foundation.
And how would you structure that?
And that then
The budget, for example.
our budget.
Yeah. How would you structure that?
Stage 1, functionality, time, money, impact. And next steps in the same way.
And people, yeah. So fine. What I would add to all your suggestion is a general objective. You have to have a societal, again, this macro perspective, because this is typically with IT, people go immediately into the solution. They will provide a beautiful explanation of an IT, but think the donor is not an IT specialist. You have to be able to translate your idea to a non-specialist, which is a different level of abstraction than being an IT guy. So giving them a blueprint of a multi-step, they will say, okay, nice, in the annex. Thank you very much. I don't understand it. I trust that you're a specialist. Maybe I have, if I'm really interested, if you have to first sell me, it's like with any pitch, in the first half a page. If it's a random call, I have to get your idea in the first paragraph to be even interested to go after.
2 million pensioners from Ukraine will be learning computer with you.
Bingo. Really?
One
really,
year, 2
it's
year.
that. It's
Yes.
that sentence.
Yes.
It's that sentence.
And how to work, please?
Yes, and maybe
speaking about
analysis would, a little bit of status quo analysis would help. Look, in Ukraine, the demographic breakdown of
Yes.
pensioners is X. We are going to target Kiev region, which has percentage of pensioners number X. We would like to, this app is going to enable exactly sentence. That's actually probably all you need to say, and they say please look further, and then maybe some longer term. Also what donors like to see is potential risks. Don't be afraid to put the risks and challenges, because it also gives you a little bit protection for you, especially in IT. Things can go in application stage, or especially, I don't know in what stage of development you are, if you have a ready app or you would like the donor to fund the process of development, or what, it also depends what you're asking for. But always keep in your mind everything public value, public value, public value. How are you translating not only the IT amazing state-of-the-art thing you created, but what is the impact value of it? For the donor, this is because, the donor, I will have to report to my boss, who then reports to his boss, who then goes to parliament in Bern, who then has to say, we spent, X amount of millions or billions on pensioners in Ukraine, on youth in, in Kosovo, or, so, yeah.
And if we have a successful ready project of cooperation with one of the city, and we need
Scale.
a scale
Yes.
in other cities.
Perfect.
Yes? Okay.
Perfect. Also, think about things like that. Excellent example. Scalability and rollout. And this gives you actually monetary, you could scale that up also. The value of your request is getting scaled up, I'll show you one very actually interesting example. You may want to look at this website. It's called Open Data 4D, OD4D. It's nothing specific for, it's od4d.net. It's international website that looks at open data, let's say cases, frameworks, policies, but also real-life applications in development context. Donors work, they like to promote processes of development in countries, right? Transformative, catalytic processes, where you go from pensioners not having e-skills to pensioners having e-skills and being able, not having to have to go to the SNAP, but they can maybe download the form at home and be more comfortable and spend it. And it also gives you the mentality of the open, how donors think. But more interesting is, this is another presentation I did. This is the Zurich. This is a fantastic, actually. You should. This is an open budget visualization instrument from Israel. It's phenomenal, I think. It has the state budget in the entirety. So this is the state budget, national budget. These are all relative
Industries, no?
sub-budget categories relative to the size of the general budget. What is very interesting that then they take each bubble. If you click on each bubble, it gives you a timeline of spending history on that particular budget item and which parliamentarians have voted and what their contributions were over time. So you could immediately see, and it was an NGO who actually did this. It's visually fantastic. It's interactive, and this one of these bubbles right here, actually, it caused a lot of controversy in Israel because it's for the first time that they show the number of how much they are spending on settlements. So the settlements, the illegal settlements in Israel, in the West Bank, they are building a lot of settlements, and there is public budget. But before, nobody knew how much money was being spent there. And this actually the bubble was the first one, and they could also see who had, from the parliamentarians, deputies, had voted. Anyway, this is not the example I want to show you, but it's one of. This is the.
And question about
Yeah?
this budget was what was public reaction? Or it's too much money or too little?
First of all, the
Too
transparency of it.
little?
Never before it was disclosed in the public.
Okay.
So, and then they could see each of the parliamentarians, so they could go lobby and start to ostracize each of the parliamentarians. There was a lot of media analytics done, and also a lot of special attention for individual parliamentarians, they started to be a lot of heat put on them, because it's considered, well, it's a controversial thing, of course. It depends what side of the spectrum you sit in, but it created an incredible amount of noise, social noise and political noise, international noise, just because of actually this. And it's an NGO who did it. They're what is called public knowledge. If you look it up, they do amazing things. It's an Israeli think tank slash. Yeah, I think it's excellent. So check it out. This is a donor-sponsored mobile app. What is interesting? This is citizens were given a mobile app was created where citizens could go around, let's say city X, to actually monitor and then to record and document transgressions, illegal acts, illegal parking, not big ones, small ones, illegal parking, illegal dumps, like let's say waste, ecological dumping, any kind of regulations, tax regulations, waste, misuse of official vehicles. So what was very interesting is that there were 1,500 irregularities that were recorded via the app. And what was wonderful about this app, public value, attention, public value, they linked it to fining. So they actually helped the state to better fine citizens and to fine them. The money that they generated was 500,000 euros. First, they showed illegal transactions better through citizen-generated recording. Secondly, it enabled the state to be more efficient in fining people. But then what they promised the state, they took 250,000 euros from this amount and gave it back for participatory budgeting. So they gave actually half of the fines collected back to the community and letting citizens decide what should be built from that money. And these are the projects from the fines. This is the government that made this commitment. So it gave 250,000 euros actually. And then it was buying medical equipment for hospitals. There was redesigning of several daycare centers for children with disabilities, landscaping park, so they re-landscaped one entire park to make it nicer. Reconstruction of old people's home, and buying equipment for kindergartens. What is very nice about this app is that it does really nice full cycle of things. It's not just an app that was able to monitor. Already that's very powerful, that citizens can now go and they see, something is not happening. Okay, I will record that. That data goes immediately to the municipal registry. Registry sees, is it finable or not? They issue fine, so it creates a process. But then the fines generated was then given to the public good. I think I really like this. And UNDP did this in Kosovo.
Sorry, where local governments give money for?
Because they got money, they were able to, because people recorded what was illegal.
Yes, but
so this is finable.
Where is money
generated? Through fines. Straf.
Yes, understand.
Yeah, it's straf, right? Straf. So all those illegal things, yeah. And I think it's an excellent process. This is another one. This is actually Odessa.
Odessa.
It's an open data in Europe and Central Asia. Check it out. It's an online platform for open data platforms within Central Asia. And this is a more simple one. It's a similar concept as in Kosovo, but this is that it was just citizen generate data collection. And then they created, again, also on ecological issues, and they created heat maps, about city. Not actually super complex, but very nice. So citizens actually get, again, public value, the experience of collecting data, and then visualizing it in this way. And people can then, either government, that gets open to public uses, so government sees where the transgressions are, media can also see, report on it. Again, it's given to the public good. So the visualization aspect is very interesting, and the fact that it's also empowering citizens. So these are just like two kind of examples, three examples. I mean, there are more apps, but they're not necessarily. This is my little bit abstract open data app. This is an industrial designer, a woman. She was an industrial designer. She recorded her coffee intake for 1 month, the volume of her coffee intake, and based on the data, she actually designed this coffee cup for herself. So all the layers are coffee consumption over time, and based on there's a graph actually. Here you can't see it very well. This is her consumption level. Also very creative. Use of open data in a very cool way. So now I have many examples of different types of apps. This is on construction. This is City of Zurich. This was doing a presentation actually in Vinica on how to open data in cities at the city level. And maybe this is interesting. So this is the open data process. If you were to see it, like this is open data for dummies, like 101. So you have the data, then it gets opened, processed, raw data gets produced and added onto, and then there are different things that happen to the data. You have to also have licensing, channels of opening. But what I would like to then, I don't want to go into details here, but essentially donors are interested here and they're interested here. If you're going to go too much in your proposal on this, they're not interested. You should have some technical part of your proposal pitching this, because they will likely have a specialist looking at it. Of course, you have to show technically what you're proposing. But as I told you before, what they're mostly interested at the beginning and in the conclusion is the impact value on this part. And also maybe a little bit about the process. What is transformative? What is new? And what did you contribute to in this process? So I will leave it at that. I don't know if you have any other questions.
No.
Yes.
Agro-monitor, it's intelligent monitoring system.
Yes.
So we grab
I remember.
data from fields, yes,
Yes.
systemize, analyze, and can suggest to farmers or government how
Yeah.
better working with these fields.
Yes.
And Katerina said, I miss when I go out.
Yes.
You
were
yeah. I want to ask more about these grants and
Yes.
maybe we can launch pilot for Vinnytsia or other districts.
As I told her, yeah, I will have to go back to, but maybe it's a good summary. So I'm now challenged to give an overall summary from the beginning of the presentations. So donors work in a particular way. Perfect. You have an app. Wonderful. Case study. You have an app.
And devices.
And devices.
It's not only app.
I am a donor. Pitch me. Pitch me more.
In the end, you may need to buy it.
It's okay. Maybe. Good for him.
Our system can optimizate expenses for cultivation up to 20%. Yeah, it's может чуть-чуть
Может,
по-русски.
по-русски,
Я
да,
не
по-русски,
подготовил.
да.
Да.
Катерина будет помогать. Значит, наша система позволяет экономить до 20 ресурсов, затрачиваемых денег, да, затрачиваемых на выращивание растений. Следовательно, если такую систему внедрить, фермеры станут более эффективными, более конкурентоспособными на мировых рынках, если мы рассматриваем конкретно Украину. Также эта система позволит открыть данные для таких компаний, которые страхуют урожай, страховые компании, потому что они будут видеть историю, как за этим полем ухаживает конкретная организация, которая взяла на тот определенный срок аренду этой земли, потому что земля дается в аренду.
Can you the last part about the property,
For
the earth?
the banking and insurance companies, it's a good info also because they will see how you take care of the field. Because most of the agriculture field, they are not exactly private, they are rented or they are in a loan credit.
Very good.
And so the banking sector or like insurance company needs to know what actually you're doing. Are you spoiling the soil? Are you keeping it like in a good level? So it also helps to monitor what's happening with the asset.
И также открытие подобных данных для министерств позволит им эффективнее планировать развитие дальнейшее. То есть эта система она не только помогает локально фермеру, она также позволяет на уровне государства видеть, что происходит реально, потому что сейчас это все непрозрачно.
And what is the cost for the farmer? So you said that it will reduce actually. So you will provide. Tell me the mechanics of your.
На сегодняшний день у нас две модели. Первая продажа агростанций, которые в несколько раз дешевле аналогов зарубежных, но это по-прежнему недоступно. It's too expensive for Ukrainian farmers. Сейчас, now we decide test rent model. То есть аренда. Аренда более эффективна, потому что фермер может test and better planning expenses.
Like lease it.
Да, или же лизинг. Однако, почему мы стали искать сейчас гранты и инвесторов? Мы бы хотели предоставлять это как сервис, в котором фермер платит, например, за свои 100 гектар, с каждого гектара фиксировано там 50 центов, допустим, для пшеницы, и, допустим, там 20 или 50 долларов для виноградника, потому что с пшеницы это 20 тысяч гривен, а с виноградников это 20 тысяч долларов.
So he will rationalize. You will
Да.
allow the
Actually, the
part.
third business model he,
Yeah.
he wants to try is not even renting or leasing, but giving a service.
Yeah.
That to give a service, you need to install that hardware as an operator of the
Mhm.
service. This is why he seeks for a grant or something, just to make it more like affordable for the
So
farmers.
okay.
То есть мы уже,
But he will charge them through the service, but it will take longer time.
да,
Мгм.
потому что мы уже продали несколько там этих станций, да, но продали и что дальше? Это не инвестиционно не привлекательно для
Мгм.
инвесторов.
And-
А если
Ты просто
Почему?
скажи,
Просто
кому
дорого.
у тебя сейчас, кто у тебя клиент?
Kernel,
У те- ну, больш-
Kernel, Monsanto, we work with Kernel, Monsanto,
Мгм.
in small business in Chile, and now we start discuss business with Sahibny Bukh, who is from Lviv.
Okay. Two more questions. One, in addition to the let's say benefits for the farmer, it will cost him. Let's say it will contribute to his cost savings, right? In the
Yes.
end. So initial onset is investment, high investment, and then residual cost savings over time.
Yeah.
Is that the idea?
This is like one business model, if you buy
Okay.
it. Then there is a second business model. If
Is
you
the
rent.
rented?
Rent.
Huh?
The
Rent.
rental.
Second
Yes,
is
rent.
rent.
And third is service model.
Service
In
model.
service, you pay
But this is his
equal.
model. This is his model. I'm asking still, what is the benefit for the farmer?
So
And-
it's cost optimization.
Cost
Cost
optimization of soil,
of
soil testing,
fertilizers.
moisture.
Yeah, like fertilizers and moisturing.
Mhm.
Because watering is one expense
Mhm.
and fertilizers is another.
Okay.
And now we start work with agronomists for consulting,
Mhm.
not only the measuring.
Mhm.
We want to go to consulting. Our system should suggest
Mhm.
you need sow or not, because parameters is not good for soil. Sorry.
Okay. And why do you think I, as a donor who likes to invest in public good, why don't you go to the market for investors to find?
No.
Why
We
should
do
why
this
should
too.
you do? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we do.
So why should a donor care? What is also, for example, the public value of your? Is there any ecological benefits? Is there any more public? Also, do you have any evidence that farmers? What have farmers done with the money that they saved? For example, this would be
Yes.
good thing to illustrate, like a case
Ah.
study. You know, look, we had a farmer who saved X amount of money.
Mhm,
This money was able to scale up his particular production line, or was able to buy a new tractor, or you know, the value added going beyond the app treatment.
understand.
I don't know. What do you have any examples of great benefits of the impact?
I guess it's too early.
Because this is hypothetical. That it will save money for the farmer right now is hypothetical. Do you have? Sorry, I'm just being
To the point.
hard. Can you paint me a picture or story of the impact of, let's say, savings or?
No, now the farmers in Ukraine only start testing this system.
Okay, fair enough.
I know cases in USA when farmers optimize expenses and can more faster grow
Yeah.
his business.
Okay. And what kind of risk mitigation measures are you risk lowering
Yes,
measure?
if a farmer analyze data from our system, he can reach more рискообменьшество.
So, gets good crops with high probability.
Okay.
Because the amount of the crop that you get, it's not about
So predictive value also.
Yes,
It
predictive
gets to
value of the
predictive
crop.
value. Okay, so projections and predictive value for his yield and okay, yeah, yeah. Again, I'm not a very good. Thank you. Thanks for the pitch. excellent. I mean,
It's a good project, yes?
yes, yeah.
You don't have to understand.
Again, it would be good, you know, I was telling before to them, it would be good to have first opening paragraph, macro. You started actually.
Global about...
Global about problems for farmers in Ukraine. You know, like what problems are you solving? You did actually, not bad, but maybe one very clear statement. You know, this is the problem of farmers in today. This is the solution we bring. This is how we sell. These are the risks. I also told them, be open about the risks and challenges. The donor, they like to see transparency and risk potential, because then I can see, my money is worth or not, but you're transparent about it. And then I will ask you a question, what are you doing to lower the risks of it? And maybe I like it, maybe I want to promote innovation even at the cost of risk. But let me make the decision, you know. The second is, I am not an agricultural specialist, but I was also telling the group that, you know, donors tend to have portfolios of thematic areas. You know, so I'm in governance. We have an agricultural desk, and we have specialized on organic farming. We also have energy efficiency. So then it would be for you to speak to specific officer.
Oh.
You know, on agriculture. Yes, I can send that to you. Yes. So yeah, it would be interesting. So, but in general, quite a good pitch. Yeah, yeah. So. Okay. Any other questions or?
Questions for contact or
Yeah.
maybe,
So
can I
you know
discuss,
what?
About my project.
Concrete. With, you know what, I can put you in touch with energy efficiency, and also I would like to meet with you, you know,
Okay.
until the end of March. For me, it's like crazy. But in April,
Very good.
I would like to really speak to you, and
Okay.
maybe with our program partner about what you did. And also, just to let you know, we will also host hackathons, but we will do thematic hackathons with a specific thematic area. We are still deciding, so they will not be as open. And also, we would like to do them at the regional level. And we also hope that maybe you guys can provide coaching.
I have idea, and we work with Green Incubator. They organize energy hackathons, especially if they are specialization, and they have regional hackathons already.
Okay.
And another project, Academy, is a result of their hackathons.
Okay.
It was born on the hackathon of
Okay.
energy camp.
Okay,
organized by
you
Green
know, I
Incubator.
will leave you, I can leave you my contacts in general. So I am on Facebook, but I'll give you my email. So please write me again with your, sorry, I didn't bring. So, agri, energy, government. And here could be services and even democracy.
А он сам включается.
Пойдем потом.
So thank you very much for your attention. Thanks for this opportunity. Yeah, I hope, just out of curiosity, did you hear something new that you didn't know before, or same old, same old?
Everyone, we have something new.
Something new?
Yes,
Are you very
accent.
yeah. No, because it's important to also know how much you know about donors and how we should also reach out, you know, on IT projects specifically. As I told you, before, that it's really a new topic also for donors. So don't be so surprised. You know, don't be surprised if a donor goes, IT, not exactly our cup of tea. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. Push. Sell them the idea, the solution, rather than IT. You know, the problem that you're solving with the IT, like you say, it's an instrument. It's an instrument, it's a means to an end rather than IT being the end in itself. So this is important to sell.
I guess it's also very just for investor, because in the end investor asks like, what is the value? How do you monetize it? That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
The IT is just the mechanics.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just the math. So.
Yeah, and also I see typically proposals that come, I don't know if you guys teach them, if the incubator does it, but very poor proposal writing, generally speaking. One thing is to be also to orally communicate, but as I told you, a priori, a donor will always ask you to write a proposal. High chances are in English also.
But if
Oh, great.
Open to you
yeah.
a new idea.
Oh, very good. Oh, in 5 minutes, idea. Wonderful. We can talk. Let's talk, really.
And the results, the next slide here.
but if
Please.
The
A new building for pensioners, where young people learn pensioners new skills.
Yes, I can tell you we don't fund buildings.
I guess EBRD does.
No.
Yeah,
You can-
yearly.
you can have
Now
funding.
we can create a business plan,
Yeah.
and we want to receive this plan to government and кто у нас мэр?
Mayor.
Mayor, for example, and local.
You know who
authorities.
will also go? Who EBRD will, but also the European Union through their decentralization.
I would like to travel to London in May,
Yes.
where
You know who are?
EBRD,
SIDA. Go see the Swedish International
SIDA, yes.
Development Agency.
Yes.
The Swedes, they will. I'm not sure if they are more now on service centers, but you never know. They may have some. Like we have not a topic, like let's say target topic for this disadvantaged, let's say elderly or youth, but we have a small topic on disadvantaged.
We would like решить как это solve
Solve.
this problem with EBRD PPP.
Yes, excellent, perfect. Yeah. And you know, also sometimes think about maybe sometimes combination of donors. Some donors like to
Yes, of course.
fund training.
Yes.
Some like that's their they love it. You know.
Yes.
Some like let's say EBRD is more construction of public structure,
Our
like
organization,
physical structures.
Has
We don't do physical structures. We don't pay salaries. We will pay results, which you can then cleverly architecture into salaries. So this is.
We have strategy for development this project in the international platform. Восточное партнерство, господи.
Eastern Partnership.
Eastern Partnership.
Fund,
yes,
Eastern
yes.
Partnership Fund.
Now we. Господи, надо же позабывать. Мы послали проект на
Да.
Европейскую комиссию.
Хорошо, супер.
Да.
Ну,
И
это
сейчас
хорошо.
находится на рассмотрении.
Да-да.
Но это будет прототип.
Это, знаете, тоже может в децентрализации. Я не знаю в какой форме.
Децентрализация
Знаете, это
есть.
Regional Development Funds.
Да.
Они, they are getting a lot of money
Да.
as project.
you have experience, successful
Я
experience.
говорил с Йоханнесом Ханом, что мы хотим от Украины сделать предложение о разработке новой инновационной социальной политики в отношении пенсионеров через образование,
Wonderful.
через вот такое
Super.
на восточной платформе. И сейчас вот мы подготовили, было в Братиславе,
Ага, в
в
Словакии.
Братиславе сейчас было заседание нашей группы, и в принципе я это буду лоббировать от Украины. Это мы хотим сайт на 6 стран, и онлайн, и офлайн обучение. И вот через все это, то есть идет.
Good.
дальше.
Oh, he's action baby. Yeah, you
Yes,
are.
yes, yes.
I have a common question.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, come on.
Говори по-русски, наверное.
What next steps projects who didn't have successful experience cooperate with funds? It's team
Yes.
told us it's a problem for projects.
Yeah, because the legal entity that receives the grant needs to have good traction of receiving earlier grants.
Okay.
For eligibility
Mhm.
criteria, it needs to
Yes.
be to have good history track.
Very good question. Very good question. What you have to do then to demonstrate that value either in something else or have a very good business plan. And business plan is one way to mitigate against, because it's even if I'm new, look, I thought about it. So the proposal has to be super tight.
Actually, no, it was not about the
No, I understand.
proposal. It was about the
The
technical
history.
eligibility of a legal entity, like how credible it is to use the funds properly.
Yeah, well, if you don't qualify, you don't qualify. You have to gain experience.
Yeah, but the
Unfortunately-
question is like, if you never received grants, and
Yes.
to receive a grant, you need to have a history of receiving a
Yes.
grant. Where is
Yes.
the point
No,
zero?
no, no.
Where is the
No.
like
The point is
the
in-
minus first step?
The point zero is what I'm telling you. That it's somebody who takes a chance on you, even though you don't have a credit history of implementation, but you have a high probability of having. This is taking a chance. This means, but the only chance I have, guarantee, is a good, solid presentation, the idea, and the business plan. So this is the sales. Yeah, it will be a 50-50 chance that you will get it or you will not get it, or maybe even 80-20 chance.
But what is doing?
So somebody has to
business
take a
plan?
chance on
What
you.
What is a business plan? What do you?
Full from the concept, the idea, broken down by you would need to have budget lines, the key activities, even indicators for monitoring, so very quantifiable indicators, time attached to those benchmarks, so time-bound indicators, not just indicators. So time attached to tracking over time the activities, budget allocation, people. So this means overhead expenses. This means, I don't know, I would have to look. Each budget is different, but I can tell you as detailed as possible you can do it. I've seen budgets for, let's say, EDMS, 4 lines for a ministry. I was going, you gotta be...
Very good level of digitalization. Like.
two pagers. And one time for 50 million was like 3-page document. I was going...
Like, hello.
Yeah,
Surprise,
it's
surprise.
you can't believe that somebody could even think that. So show professionalism and be persistent. Just because somebody tells you no one time, don't let that distract you. Go again. Believe in me and take maybe small demonstrable steps that can help you. So anything, if you are a starter, be open about it and say to look, I know you're taking a big risk on me, but this is how I can tell you that I am risk worthy.
And well,
I have developed this app, maybe not with a grant, but sometimes I, for example, power of conviction through evidence.
maybe like cost sharing, that you also put your money into
Yes,
it.
or you could also, another way to do it is partnering. first start and then do the shuttle launcher, like as rocket launching, you know? You start with a big rocket and then you break off on your own. Maybe you will not get the full profit at the beginning, but it will get you past the threshold of experience of being a grantee. But make sure that you are also get the value of being a grantee, you know? This is another possibility.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know if it helped.
So the project that I was telling you
Да.
is actually made by Oksana, who does how to start a startup.
I know,
So
and I
she's
love
a-
for the
good luck.
Yeah,
That's-
it's wonderful.
Yeah,
I get
and it needs, like,
updates.
and it needs like to speed up
Yeah.
because it's been like for years.
Yeah.
And another like actually now in hardware labs there's a lot of different things happening. I would say that there is this academy shop, IT Step. They have their also 3D model lab something. So I was a judge at their golden bite, and actually this year I'm again a judge. So they made this braille device instead of like lots of expensive stuff.
Yeah.
You buy like one small tablet, like tiny,
Yeah.
with maybe 10 or 15 plastic, some Lego types coming out of it and in it.
Yeah.
So it's like a small Lego and put in different like eagles out of it.
And what is the purpose of the app?
To give the whole alphabet in one button, because depending on the letter, it gives different signal into the finger, like letter by letter.
So if a child puts their,
Yes.
it's to teach a child
Yes.
alphabet, basically.
Actually,
that's the objective.
yeah. First of all, it's educative for a child,
Yeah.
and second, they made an app to read books. So you download a book, and it transforms like Cyrillic letters or whatever letters into
Okay.
Braille, and it reads you a
Oh,
book. It's
okay,
like a book
for
reader.
Oh, that's interesting. How could you do? You see, but then again, I would say, okay, interesting app. What can I do with it in a program?
I don't know, because it's totally not investable, because the horizon is like too far away, and they will never get investment here.
You know what? Another thing maybe that's useful for you to get experience with a donor. Don't think only about apps. Think about training also. Say, and you can be clever with packaging. Say you have an app, or you develop a specialization on advertisement, or I'm not sure what your apps is, or heat. You could say, okay, I have an app, but I can also teach communal enterprise, train communal enterprises. First of all, maybe how to make their own apps. You know, so be creative. Also, sell services.
It's really necessary.
Don't only sell the app itself. Sell services. Sell your knowledge. This will also be something. Manuals, guides, even an app for dummies. Even dummy it down. You know, the app. So for donors, the simpler almost the better. You know.
May I ask if
Yeah.
you launch manuals for young agronomist where he can read about
On an
some
app?
kind of in our app or not?
Dream. It's a dream
Why?
for a
We
donor.
start with
To
for
for example, imagine. Think about.
Школа агронома.
we start this project, but it's not PR this.
Think about it. New entry level agronomists.
Yes, we.
Молодой агроном.
In
Неопытный.
27 April, we discussed now with Microsoft
Yes.
event for agronomists in
Yes.
Ukraine, where they
Very
can
good.
discuss how use precision agriculture.
Yes.
We not only application and hardware,
Yes.
we project with
Exactly.
education.
Exactly. And process. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because actually the agro market in Ukraine is like has very funny structure.
Yeah.
Because I would say that maybe 10 or 15% use high technology,
Yeah.
and 90% of the market is still in the middle age, like agronom с линейкой,
Yeah.
just this ruler.
Yeah.
Like, how do you predict it? Like,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true.
and that's 90% of the market.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
So you see,
I invite you to this event. I want you to our
you know what? Not me, but I will. Can you tell me about the event? Because maybe my colleague from agriculture can.
Agriculture want event, and we have our event when pension pitch
Yes.
their project.
Cool.
Yes, of course.
Really? Okay, please.
In April,
Can you
in
email
April, we can move to Ismail, Odessa region, and
Yes.
you can see.
Wonderful.
Over. Yes, of course.
Wonderful.
I invite you.
Okay, please,
Okay,
please do.
okay.
Yeah. And Odessa is our region, so even better.
Yes,
So we
yes.
have 4 regions. We have Vinica, Odessa, Volyn, and Dnipropetrovsk.
Okay, Vinica. We start in Vinica and Khmelnyk and Kazatin, Vinica region,
And you know?
and Odessa region, Reni and Ismail.
When I say
Listen.
Reni, I remember my childhood.
Because imagine if you let's say, hypothetically speaking, I don't know what you're proposing for pensioners exactly. Only the building or some other things.
Еще
Что
раз.
ты предлагаешь пенсионерам? Здание или что-то другое?
Нет, это тренинг-центр.
Training center, yeah.
Мы его называем центр.
Какой, переносной,
Центр,
что ли?
нет,
Или
стационарный. Тренинговый центр и центр социальной активности.
So, if you can think about an ICT for elderly, IT for elderly,
IT для
пенсионеров.
Да.
Я не знаю, что это может быть някакъв креативный проект. Tell us.
У нас
Не будинок. We cannot build this.
social activity for each каждый each town. In this project good как это в рамках in framework program of decentralization. Very good project for mayor. Pensioner, not depression, not activity.
Yeah.
You work for project, social project in their town.
Yeah, exactly.
Internet cafe. We have 5, 6, 7 examples
Yeah.
when project of pensioners now work.
Yeah.
Handmade electronic commerce, да? No problem. My hobby, my business. Startup start 50 plus.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. We have this training.
So maybe we can really. We would be interested. Listen, we would be interested to hear from you more, but not about the center, but maybe more these kind of added services, projects, social projects, focusing on IT and.
We have a lot of point to learning pensioners, bibliothèques and center of social activity. We have 2,000 bibliothèques, and we которые прошли уже прошел проект библиомост.
Библиомост, я знаю.
Да, мы можем их использовать. С Айрексом, да. Ну, как раз мы используем в Виннице, центральная библиотека, это наш партнер. И мы можем проводить обучение везде. Сейчас вот Херсонская область просит Каховка, чтобы мы сделали. Это идеальная мечта. It's my dream. Как у Саакашвили был дом юстиции. It's my dream. Да. Я это построю. Я найду инвестора один.
Let us in April. Can you please contact me again? Yeah, March is very hectic.
Okay, no problem.
It would be interesting. Again, no promises, but we can discuss further, So, our project is until 2019, and maybe longer.
Okay, thank you.
I want to ask about your project. You say you investigate the organization you are, the donor
So
organization. I investigate in a gate, and I find just one project about Ukraine, which works in Ukraine.
Можно фото с вами?
Yes.
Уже на фоне уже 1990.
А у нас тоже есть эскадры 19. Но свет, конечно, не очень.
Ну хорошо, тогда идем. Тогда, ладно, я ж тогда по полному тогда пиар будет по полному. Сейчас,
Запуск F6.
Like we reached a deal, but it was like it was like one in the transaction.
на ине будет новая статья.
Якщо вилізли.
О, так это такая.
Язик простой.
Улыбайся,
Привыкайте к пиару.
Сейчас я попробую показать на работу. Да. Не, ну как забанил. А его перезапускали, да, вроде бы эту штуку? Ну, кликер. Там же просто разного браузера, разная высота панели. Ну, кажется, это просто.
Там не так висота панелі, як центровка цього блока по центру, вона ж піксельно гуляє.
Ну да, да. Ну так, а из-за высоты панели, а так она всегда только по центру. О, можем сейчас на этом, на... Это ж, ну, скорее всего, банить не юзера.
Ні, кількість штук, тільки ти загружаєш на сторінку, перевищує квоту.
Так интересно, привязываются они к странице или к
До
юзеру?
того, хто загружає туди.
Ты хочешь сказать, что я сейчас на мехатроникс никого не приглашу в страницу? Ну давай сейчас проверим.
Це ти на мехатроніці перезапрошував?
Не, я сейчас хочу попробовать. Ну, допустим, есть у нас...
Ні, ти на іншу сторінку можеш. Ти як юзер не можеш на ту сторінку
Я
до
вот как
кінця.
программер интересуюсь чем? К какой сущности они привязываются?